This changes everything for the Bills. When Joey Bosa originally signed with Buffalo, so many people questioned the move and wondered if injuries or age had already caught up to him. But now he's silencing every doubt. He looks revitalized, he's dominating off the edge, and is proving that he can still be a game wrecker, which is exactly what the Bills defense needs this season. My name is Maeve Miller, and I'm a part of the Bills Digest team. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel at Bills Digest for the latest updates during the start of the season. I want to start off with talking about his performance in the Bills' home opener against the Ravens. And this game was just so exciting. Couldn't talk enough about it. And Bosa definitely is part of the reason for that win. I thought he looked really good out there, strong, fit, despite like a couple injuries in camp and just a long history of injuries that have kind of derailed his career. He played in nearly 70% of the snaps, so clearly he just was a impact player. He was in it a lot, and you could just tell that on like mismatch, he'd really get through and make plays like the one right here where he tackled and forced a fumble from Justice Hill. And even though the Ravens recovered the fumble, it resulted in a 15-yard loss. In any game, that's a huge play, but especially in a game where you play against offensive powerhouses that make minimal mistakes and are great on the run, a play like this changes the whole game. So I really do feel like if Bosa had not been playing in the game, the outcome would have been totally different. And I feel like the Bills haven't had that strong difference maker in that position in a long time. I know Von Miller, we had hoped would be that kind of player, but just the age and the injuries. He had a good start in 2022, a couple games. It looked like maybe we'll have a great edge rusher. But Von Miller's a little bit older, and that's where the Bills ultimately made the decision to cut him. And then I'd say a player before that, maybe Matt Milano. He kind of reminds me of Bosa, but I feel like Bosa is just stronger as those other two guys have gone down. I feel like he's just gone uphill. And you could see after the game, his reaction to everything was just like awesome. He said, I'm like in a dream right now. That was unbelievable. I don't know if I've ever been this happy after a win," which is crazy for a guy that's been in the league for 10 years, that this is his most exciting win. And I just feel like you could see the shock on his face when the cameras were following around. And I like how he said like that the sideline chatter, because the Bills know this is a kind of normal game for us a little bit, where we're down the entire game and in the fourth quarter things just happen to work out. And I think that's probably due. Yeah, sideline chatter said just finish strong. And he said, I guess when you have Josh Allen, you have to give him a chance and anything is possible, which is so true. He already knows the Buffalo mindset. And that's why I think this game was so awesome, especially for the opener, because I feel like the new players like Bosa or Joshua Palmer or Elijah Moore could see like the kind of Buffalo magic, and that's just how games are, with the support of the fans, and you don't give up, and things like this happen. I know it's rare, but this isn't the first time that the Bills have come back from such a big loss, especially in that fourth quarter. So I feel like they really got a chance to see what Buffalo's all about, and it really seems like he's been enjoying his time so far. Good to see that this was not a one-time thing, because against the Jets, he also played very well. Obviously, the Jets aren't the strongest team, but the defense made a huge impact with only 27 yards passing from Justin Fields. And then when former Bill and backup QB for the Jets, Tyrod Taylor, came in, he only had it totaled to 54 yards. So clearly the defense is doing something right in the 30-10 when. And I felt this was just a nice breath of fresh air, because the defense really took control, and other players on the offense besides Allen were just doing great things. But he had his notable moment of the game was his sack and strip fumble off of Justin Fields, and it was said that he was so fired up, you could see it. And he said after the sack fumble, they put a tight end on me. They put a tight end on me. So like he's just saying that like if that happens again, we know what like the kind of plays he can make, and I'm glad he's got that self confidence back. That hey, a tight end's going up against him, he knows he can block it around him and make that play. So I just was glad to see him really getting in that Bills spirit. And again, at the beginning of the fourth quarter, after another sack on Justin Fields, he waved goodbye to the crowd, and people were laughing, and like fans saying that he's right at home in Buffalo. He looks like he just fits in very well. And I feel like this game definitely made people realize what his value is, because like I said earlier, there was a lot of talk about his age or the injuries catching up to him. And I think this really proved that it wasn't just a one-game thing. He did it in both games. And this tweet says on just 15 pass rushing snaps in the Jets game, Bosa recorded 7 pressures, 1 sack, and 96.7 pass rushing grade. And that's just insane stats. Like to have pressures on almost half of the plays is just insane. And I feel like it was nice to see a player out there like putting pressure, and that'll be good against even stronger quarterbacks like Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, any of those guys that are just really good at maneuvering around. And even like other fans have been talking about, like Sal Capaccio said on a podcast that if Bosa plays like how he is for the next 17 or hopefully more games, that the Bills do have a real shot of making that Super Bowl and winning. And I feel like this was definitely a void that they were missing in the lineup. And if he stays healthy, he can stay healthy, that hopefully we'll be able to win more games. And I know we've had great seasons in the past, but obviously we haven't had enough to get past, into that AFC championship and into the Super Bowl. And I feel like the defense was what really needed a little bit of shift. And I feel like slowly it's getting there. We worked on the secondary and, injuries, and now working on the defensive line and edge rusher. So I feel like it's all like little parts. And as people get more healthy, like Bosa, I think we'll be able to make a real big impact. So I'm excited. I think in the beginning, I definitely did doubt Bosa being signed, even though I know he's very well known and, Nick Bosa, his family. I just thought the injuries and the age thing kind of threw me off, but I'm excited to see that he is playing well. And he definitely has a different mindset than a lot of other guys. He did just turn 30, and he spent 10 years in the NFL, which is insane. He was talking about how he was only in the NFL as a 20-year-old, which doesn't happen too often. And he even said he feels better than ever. And he just really wants to make up for lost time kind of because of these injuries. And in an interview a couple days ago, he said, "I think I have a lot to prove to mainly myself because that's all that really matters. That I still have stuff to give to the game. Just nice to have a fresh start with a new team and get to experience football in a different environment and a whole new situation." And I like that mindset for sure because, it is his chance to start fresh, even though he's maybe not in his prime anymore and he's 30 years old, but he looks great for 30 years old. And, he looks quick, fast, strong. That's why the age thing doesn't worry me too much as it maybe did before seeing him play. And I feel like his mindset has kind of shifted because he still wants to prove something. Even though he did amazing on the Chargers, I feel like those injuries did kind of hold him back. This was where he made a name for himself, but he had a hand fracture that got him out, leg, hip problems, and in the past 3 seasons with the Chargers, he missed 23 regular season games, which is a ton. That's a lot. So I feel like the Bills signing him was a little bit of risk, even though it's just a 1-year contract. I think it was risky, but I think so far it has been paying out. Even just by winning these 2 games, it's really nice to see that. It might have paid out. And I just think the key to the Bills' defense is just getting him to stay healthy. And I know he's in a really rough position and, a lot of fighting and tackling going on in that. But I just think if he were to stay healthy, the Bills have a real shot. And he already says he loves the Bills. He said this energy is super fun. And I feel like I've connected with these guys in a short time. Feels like I've been here for years. I think it just being in a new situation, a fresh start for me, I'm just trying to have fun. And that's what he said a lot of things. After he was waving goodbye to the Jets fans in the fourth quarter, he said, "I'm just trying to have fun." And I definitely can see the connections he's made with the players already. There's a funny article about him and Greg Rousseau being obsessed with SpongeBob and having SpongeBob related celebrations if things go well. And I think that mindset's just so funny because he's a 30-year-old guy, but he can hang out with the 22-year-olds and watch shows that are meant for 5-year-olds. And I'm just glad that team chemistry is good because obviously that makes all the difference. Obviously, offensive chemistry is important, but defensive chemistry is a little bit underrated, and having that makes it all the better if him and Rousseau and Oliver, all those guys are working in tandem. And yeah, overall, I'm really excited to see what he can do. I just think the last 2 games have really made people see around the league and fans that might have doubted that this was a good pickup. And even if it's not, it's a 1-year contract and, might lose out on $12 million, whatever. But yeah, I'm excited to see what he can do for Thursday Night Football. He already said he's pumped up for it, and hopefully we'll have another Bills win for next week. Thanks for watching, and please, once again, subscribe to the Bills Digest YouTube channel. Go Bills.